Hyun spoke in a roleplay tone. Hey, can you help me find my lost puppies? They're in my van. Miho looked up at him calmly and answered clearly, no. Say it louder, Hyun encouraged. No, Miho repeated firmly. Now move away. Miho jogged lightly back toward his desk, which made the children laugh softly. Hyun gave the class a serious look, and they quieted quickly. Miho explained gently, even if you are indoors or somewhere quiet, it is okay to shout for help. Once you are safe, tell a trusted adult what happened. Hyun added, remember this important rule. An adult stranger should not ask a child for help. The children nodded, finally focused on the lesson. They practiced a few more safety situations, this time without the running part because Hyun did not want the children turning it into a game. This lesson was important. Miho took every scenario seriously. When Hyun suggested situations like pretending a stranger said his mother had sent him, Miho paused thoughtfully before answering firmly. It almost felt to Hyun like they were working as a team, moving in rhythm with each other, speaking and responding naturally. There was a quiet connection in the way they exchanged roles. Hyun had to force himself to concentrate. The children were growing louder now, shouting, no, confidently along with Miho. I think they understand, Miho said with satisfaction. Yeah, Hyun replied, surprised that he did not want the session to end. Usually these visits felt routine and dull, but today felt different. I brought something for everyone. The children immediately began guessing excitedly. I hope it's a video game, one boy said eagerly. Hyun almost smiled. He opened the plastic bag and took out a stack of superhero-themed coloring books filled with bold designs and lightning shapes. No video games. Coloring books. I love coloring, one girl said happily. Yes, Miho answered through his teeth. I can actually fight now, so please don't make this morning worse. Hyun walked to the front of the car and opened the hood. He was not a mechanic, but checking the engine felt like the right thing to do. Miho stood close beside him, watching anxiously. Is it the engine? Miho asked softly. Please don't say it's the engine. I can't afford a new car. What happened exactly? Hyun asked. I stopped at a stop sign, and it just shut off. Completely silent. When I tried to start it again, nothing happened. Not even a sound. This car is ruining my mood. Last week I worked out and you tried to give me a parking warning, and this week my car dies. It feels like the universe doesn't want me to get fit. Hyun glanced at him briefly. Miho's toned arms and flat stomach clearly showed that his fitness journey was working. It looks like it's working to me, Hyun said calmly. Don't give up. Miho brushed back a loose strand of blonde hair, his voice softening. Oh. Really? Really? Thank you, Miho replied. That means a lot coming from someone like you. Someone like me? Hyun asked. A fitness fanatic. Hyun gave a faint smile. I prefer fitness god. Miho laughed softly. Hyun closed the hood. I think it's the battery. I'll give it a jump start and see if that helps. He moved his jeep in front of Miho's car, took out the jumper cables, and carefully connected everything. After a few minutes, he signaled. Start the engine. Miho turned the key. The car roared back to life. Yes. Miho shouted happily. He's alive again. Hyun disconnected the cables and shut the hood. He walked to the driver's side window. Let it run for a while, Hyun explained. The battery needs time to charge. After that, replace it as soon as possible. There's an auto shop near the Eastman Mall. Already planning to go, Miho said with a bright smile that made Hyun's heart tighten unexpectedly. I should probably learn more about cars. Hyun leaned slightly closer to the window. I could teach you. Maybe later today. Miho hesitated for only a second. Thank you, but I'm actually busy. After fixing the car, I have to finish planning something important for Friday. Hyun frowned slightly. What kind of planning? My wedding, Miho said calmly. Hyun's chest felt suddenly heavy. Wedding? Who are you marrying? Miho smiled in a peaceful way. Myself. It's called self-marriage. It's about committing to loving yourself first. Hyun straightened slowly, unsure what to say. You think it's strange, don't you? Miho asked. No, Hyun replied honestly. Just unexpected. It's meaningful to me, Miho said. Hyun nodded. Then that's what matters. Miho looked at him warmly. Thank you for helping me, Hyun. You can call me Hyun, he replied gently. That's what my friends use. Miho's smile softened. Keep being you, Hyun. Then Miho drove away, looking satisfied and peaceful. Hyun drove home more slowly than usual, feeling less certain about his own peacefulness. Hyun told himself it was not strange for a police officer to visit a friend's classroom to teach children about stranger safety. Normally he passed this duty to a junior officer, but this time it was Miho's class, and they had become close friends. Just 2 days earlier he had helped Miho when his car battery failed, and since then Hyun had not been able to stop thinking about him. The upcoming self-wedding Miho mentioned kept returning to his mind, along with the calm confidence Miho carried. Hyun finally admitted to himself that he was drawn to him in a way he could not easily explain. He looked through the classroom door window before knocking. Inside, Miho was standing by the whiteboard explaining simple math to the children. He wore a crisp white button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled neatly to his forearms, navy trousers, and dark loafers. The outfit was simple and professional, yet Hyun still found himself noticing how naturally Miho carried himself. Even during their hiking trip, when Miho wore practical outdoor clothes, Hyun had felt the same quiet attraction. Hyun exhaled slowly and shifted his attention to the students. About 20 children sat at their desks. Some listened carefully, some looked sleepy, and a few whispered to friends. Hyun knew he would have been the restless kid in the back at that age. He knocked on the door. Miho walked over and opened it. His blue eyes widened slightly when he saw Hyun. Hyun, what are you doing here? Hyun felt oddly pleased hearing his name spoken so casually. I'm filling in today. I'm here to teach stranger safety. Miho's cheeks colored faintly. Well, that's a nice surprise. Hyun tipped his cap politely. I'll do my best. Miho smiled. Of course you will. Come in. Hyun placed the bag of coloring books for the lesson on Miho's desk along with his cap, then stood beside him at the front of the classroom. The children stared with fascination at his police uniform, especially the badge and equipment. They looked about 6 years old. Miho addressed them clearly. Class, please say hello to Sergeant Hyun. Hello, Sergeant Hyun, the children said together. Hello, Hyun replied. He is here to teach us about stranger safety, Miho added. Then he turned to Hyun. Would you like them on the rug or should they stay seated? I'll stand here, Hyun said. All right. Go ahead. Miho stepped back beside his desk, watching supportively. Hyun cleared his throat and began. Does everyone know the safe adults in your life? Several children shouted answers at once, parents, grandparents, teachers. Miho gently reminded them to raise their hands, and they quickly settled down. Hyun was impressed by how smoothly Miho handled them. Hyun continued through the important safety points he had prepared. He spoke about recognizing safe adults, understanding how strangers might try to trick children, and how to react if something felt wrong. He spoke steadily so he would not forget anything, avoiding interruptions until he finished all 10 key points. Some children raised their hands during the talk, but he stayed focused until the end. Finally he reviewed everything again. Safe situations are green lights. Dangerous ones are red lights. Now, does anyone have a question? Nearly every hand went up. Hyun pointed to a girl with long braids who was stretching forward eagerly. Yes, what would you like to ask? Are you Mr. Miho's boyfriend? She asked directly. Hyun froze. Miho looked startled. Why would you ask that? The girl blinked innocently. Because you look at him warmly. My parents say that means someone likes a person. The children giggled. Hyun felt heat rising in his neck. He wondered if his feelings were truly that obvious. At the same time, he worried the students had missed the important safety lesson. Another child started singing teasingly about them being together. Miho immediately stepped in with calm authority. That's enough. Sergeant Hyun is my friend. Now let's focus on what he taught. Remember, not all strangers are bad. Safe strangers like police officers or teachers can help you. Who remembers what to do in a dangerous situation? The room grew quiet. Hyun had repeated the phrase several times, no, go, yell, tell. Hyun glanced at Miho. Maybe we should demonstrate. Miho nodded and joined him at the front. Hyun spoke in a role-play tone. Hey, can you help me find my lost puppies? They're in my van. Miho looked up at him calmly and answered clearly, no. Say it louder, Hyun encouraged. No, Miho repeated firmly. Now move away. Miho jogged lightly back toward his desk, which made the children laugh softly. Hyun gave the class a serious look, and they quieted quickly. Miho explained gently, even if you are indoors or somewhere quiet, it is okay to shout for help. Once you are safe, tell a trusted adult what happened. Hyun added, remember this important rule. An adult stranger should not ask a child for help. The children nodded, finally focused on the lesson. They practiced a few more safety situations, this time without the running part because Hyun did not want the children turning it into a game. This lesson was important. Miho took every scenario seriously. When Hyun suggested situations like pretending a stranger said his mother had sent him, Miho paused thoughtfully before answering firmly. It almost felt to Hyun like they were working as a team, moving in rhythm with each other, speaking and responding naturally. There was a quiet connection in the way they exchanged roles. Hyun had to force himself to concentrate. The children were growing louder now, shouting, no, confidently along with Miho. I think they understand, Miho said with satisfaction. Yeah, Hyun replied, surprised that he did not want the session to end. Usually these visits felt routine and dull, but today felt different. I brought something for everyone. The children immediately began guessing excitedly. I hope it's a video game, one boy said eagerly. Hyun almost smiled. He opened the plastic bag and took out a stack of superhero-themed coloring books filled with bold designs and lightning shapes. No video games. Coloring books. I love coloring, one girl said happily. Another boy sitting in the back with messy dark hair and a worn-out black shirt frowned deeply. This is boring, he muttered. Hyun noticed the boy's defiant expression, his untidy appearance, and something tightened painfully in his chest. He recognized that look. He had once been that child, wearing old clothes, carrying anger he did not understand. Nate, Miho said firmly but calmly, that is not how we respond to a gift. Please say thank you. The boy crossed his arms. You're not the boss of me. She is your teacher, and you will treat her with respect, Hyun said sharply before thinking. The moment the words left his mouth, regret followed. He had stepped into Miho's space. This was Miho's classroom. Miho glanced at Hyun briefly, not angry, but steady. Then he walked to the back and crouched beside Nate. Hyun focused on handing out the coloring books and crayon packs, but his attention remained on Miho. I know I'm not your boss, Miho said gently to Nate. I'm your teacher. Show me who your boss is. Draw it here. He pointed to the blank page inside the cover. Nate began drawing quickly. Hyun approached quietly and waited nearby, wanting to apologize. Miho looked up at him. Hyun mouthed, "Sorry." Miho gave a small reassuring nod. They watched as Nate finished his drawing. It was a dragon, fierce and detailed, surprisingly impressive for a child his age. "That's amazing," Miho said sincerely. "You are very talented. Make sure you color it carefully. I want to see how great it looks." Nate's expression softened at the praise. He bent over his drawing with renewed focus. Hyun felt something shift inside him. Miho had not yelled. He had not embarrassed the boy. He had simply redirected him with kindness and respect. Hyun wondered how different his own childhood might have been if someone had treated him that way. Hyun realized something clearly in that moment. He did not just admire Miho. He wanted to be near him. He wanted to protect that light, to stand beside it. The feeling was steady and deep, not dramatic, but undeniable. Miho walked back toward him. Hyun forced himself to keep his hands at his sides. "Thank you for coming," Miho said sincerely. "It was my pleasure," Hyun answered, though his voice came out rougher than he intended. Miho turned to the class. "Everyone, Sergeant Hyun has to return to work. Please say goodbye." "Goodbye, Sergeant Hyun," the children said together. "Goodbye," Hyun replied, though he wished he could stay longer. Miho looked up at him with a warm smile. "I hope you have a good rest of your day." "You too," Hyun said quietly. Miho returned to helping his students. Hyun took that as his signal to leave. Outside the classroom door, he paused for one last glance through the window. Miho was laughing softly at something a student had said, completely at ease. Hyun shook his head at himself and walked out of the building, but this time he could not pretend that what he felt was small.
Miho stood slowly. He looked around at his friends, men who had supported each other through different seasons of life. "Tonight, surrounded by people who care about me," Miho began steadily, "I promise to love myself first." He continued clearly, without rushing. "I promise to take care of my body and mind. I promise to seek work that fulfills me. I promise to follow my dreams. I promise to accept my flaws without shame. I promise to forgive myself for past mistakes. I promise to remember that I am worthy of love. And I promise to treat myself and others with respect." His voice grew softer near the end. He reached into his pocket and removed a small silver necklace with a simple heart pendant. "With this reminder," Miho said calmly, "I commit to myself." He placed the necklace around his neck and rested his hand over it briefly. Applause and cheers filled the room. "Congratulations, Miho," they said together. "Thank you," he replied quietly, more emotional than he expected. Hannah stood next, holding a ring that once belonged to his grandmother. His hands trembled slightly as he began his own vow. The room grew quiet again. With each promise spoken that night, the atmosphere grew warmer and stronger. It was not about isolation. It was about choosing growth. Choosing honesty. Choosing to be ready for love when it arrived. And somewhere deep in Miho's heart, a quiet image appeared, Hyun standing beside him, steady and sure. Miho did not push the thought away. They finished the ceremony with a cheerful champagne toast. "To us," Miho said warmly, raising his glass, and everyone drank together. "Now let's eat," Sungo announced with enthusiasm, making everyone laugh. Before they started on the food, Yuri raised a hand. "One more surprise. Tomorrow your honeymoon begins. I booked spa appointments for everyone here at the hotel. Massages, facials, full relaxation treatment. This night is about honoring yourselves." "Thank you, Yuri," Miho said sincerely, stepping forward to hug him. Soon the whole group gathered in a relaxed group hug, laughing and feeling closer than ever. The commitment they made tonight was simple but powerful, choosing to respect themselves first. After champagne and light snacks, dinner arrived. They shared everything family style. There were grilled meats, fresh fish, vegetable dishes, warm bread, and rich sides. Finally came a tall celebration cake decorated with soft pink roses and a heart on top to symbolize unity and self-respect. Miho felt calm and happy sitting with his friends. Later they all went up to Yuri's penthouse suite. It covered the entire top floor of the hotel, decorated in white, silver, and deep blue tones. There were several bedrooms, a large living room, dining space, and a small kitchen. They left their bags in the living room and headed into Yuri's walk-in closet to try on some of his designer clothes just for fun. Yuri often gifted pieces to friends, which everyone appreciated. Afterward they settled in the living room, some on the sofa, some on the floor, talking comfortably for hours. Hannah, who was expecting a baby, yawned first. Everyone immediately shifted into caring mode, making sure he was comfortable. They arranged sleeping bags while Hannah took the sofa so his back would be supported. Lights went off, but the talking continued softly. Nighttime conversations always seemed more honest. Hannah shared that his doctor might soon recommend more rest because of earlier health issues, though he remained positive. The group reassured him with calm encouragement. Danga admitted he had been spending time with Hyunwoo recently, strictly as friends, though everyone teased him gently about keeping it quiet. Taeyang spoke about work anxiety, worried success might suddenly disappear. The group reminded him he had built something strong. Miho shared that tonight's ceremony marked an important step in his personal journey, learning to be happy on his own. Kyungsoo admitted he still did not fully believe in lasting love, which was one reason tonight's commitment felt comforting. At least self-respect was something stable. Gradually the conversation slowed as people drifted to sleep. Miho lay on his side, trying to relax. But one face kept appearing in his thoughts, Hyun. His calm smile, his steady presence, the way he looked at Miho during small everyday moments. Miho told himself not to overthink it. Tonight was about independence, not romance. Still, he could not deny the growing attraction. He wondered what Hyun truly felt. Was it simple friendship, or something deeper? The thought made his chest warm, and he quickly pushed it aside. This was not the time. Min Jae, lying nearby, nudged him lightly. "Are you still awake?" he whispered. "Yes," Miho answered softly. "I have a favor to ask," Min Jae said. "Will you be my best man at my wedding?" Miho felt immediate emotion. "Of course. I'd be honored." They briefly squeezed hands. "I've missed our late-night talks," Min Jae added. "Me too," Miho replied. "We should do this more often." Min Jae agreed and mentioned how supportive his partner Jaehoon had been about the self-commitment ceremony, even researching the idea out of curiosity. Miho smiled faintly. "That sounds like him." Miho smiled faintly. "That sounds like him." There was a short, comfortable silence before Miho asked carefully. "Do you think a casual relationship can ever stay simple? Can people remain just friends afterward?" Min Jae thought for a moment. "It usually gets complicated. Feelings rarely stay separate. And you seem happiest with something steady and meaningful." Miho exhaled quietly. He knew Min Jae was probably right. "Is this about someone?" Min Jae asked gently. Miho hesitated, then answered quietly. "Hyun." Min Jae gave a knowing laugh. "I suspected that. He looks at you like you matter to him." Miho did not respond immediately. Tonight had been about self-love, yet he could not ignore that Hyun kept appearing in his future thoughts. "Sometimes," Min Jae said sleepily, "taking a risk is worth it." Miho pretended to yawn. "Good night." "Good night." The room grew silent. Miho closed his eyes, holding both truths gently in his heart, learning to stand on his own, and slowly allowing space for love if it arrived. Miho felt a quiet excitement building inside him as he entered the elegant hotel in New York City on Friday evening with his close friends. Tonight was important. They were meeting their famous actor friend Yuri, who had arranged everything for the evening. Instead of their usual book club gathering, they planned to hold a self-commitment ceremony together. Miho walked calmly beside his friends, but his thoughts were fully focused on what was about to happen. Originally, Miho had imagined something simple, maybe a dinner at home where he could speak about self-love and new beginnings. But when Yuri heard about the idea, he became enthusiastic. He said that honoring oneself could strengthen every future relationship. After that, the whole group supported the idea. Yuri even invited everyone to stay overnight in his large penthouse suite so they could continue celebrating together. They stopped outside the private executive lounge where Yuri's security guard, Sungo, stood watching the hallway. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a shaved head and a serious expression, but Miho knew he was kind and very protective of Yuri. "Hello, Sungo," Miho greeted warmly. Sungo nodded respectfully and opened the door. "Good evening. Please go in." Miho stepped inside and paused in surprise. The normally simple lounge had been transformed into something beautiful. A decorative arch stood near the entrance, covered with soft white fabric and fresh roses in shades of white, pink, and red. Candles glowed gently on tables and along the bar. Flower arrangements filled the room, and soft classical music played quietly through hidden speakers. Yuri approached with a wide smile and open arms. His usually blonde hair was now dark brown for a recent film role, which made his eyes look warmer. He wore a stylish black shirt with subtle white detailing, tailored black trousers, and polished shoes. Everything about him looked refined but relaxed. "Do you like it?" Yuri asked. "I love it," Miho answered honestly, stepping forward to hug him. "I missed you last week," Yuri said. "And you look great tonight." Miho wore a modern white outfit, an off-shoulder styled white shirt paired with fitted white trousers and simple white loafers. It was elegant without being dramatic. "Thank you," Miho replied. "You look amazing too." Yuri laughed softly. "I kept it simple so the focus stays on the meaning of tonight." Their friends gathered around, greeting Yuri warmly. Most of them wore white or light-colored outfits, relaxed but celebratory. Taeyang chose a white suit instead of a dress style, which suited his confident personality perfectly. "Put your bags near the back door," Yuri suggested. "The elevator that goes straight to my suite later." Everyone placed their things aside. Miho carefully removed a folder containing printed copies of the vows he had prepared earlier with Hana's help. Then he joined the others near the large center table. Jisa looked around appreciatively. "Did you arrange all this yourself, Yuri? It looks incredible." Yuri waved casually. "My assistant helped with the details. He has great taste. We should probably begin soon." Everyone agreed and took seats around the table. "Miho, you should sit at the head," Yuri said. "This started with you." Miho nodded. "All right. I'll bring the champagne," Yuri added. "And some snacks are warming in the kitchen until dinner arrives later." Taeyang offered to help him, and they disappeared briefly behind the bar. A few minutes later, Yuri returned carrying 2 bottles while Taeyang followed with glasses. Miho could not stop smiling. Everything felt thoughtful and warm. "Thank you for making this special," Miho said sincerely. Yuri placed the bottles beside a flower arrangement. "Honestly, the credit goes to my assistant. He handles details brilliantly. If anyone wants a job recommendation, let me know. There are perks, events, travel, interesting people." Miho spoke before thinking. "I might actually be interested." Yuri smiled. "Let's talk later." Miho nodded, feeling an unexpected sense of calm. It was as if different parts of his life were slowly aligning. He handed out the printed vows. "My idea was simple. Each of us reads a vow about self-respect and growth. Then we congratulate that person. At the end, we celebrate together. If anyone wrote their own vow, that's perfectly fine too." The group exchanged looks. "No one wrote one?" Miho asked gently. "Yours looks perfect," Jisa said. Others agreed quietly. Miho sat down again. "Let's take a moment of silence first. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and focus on why you're here." Everyone did as he suggested. The room grew peaceful. Just as Miho finished exhaling, Taeyang suddenly stood. "Friends," he said carefully, "I need to confess something first." The entire room became still. Taeyang slowly smoothed back his long light brown hair. His pale blue eyes carried visible guilt. I have not been living the way I advise others to live, Taeyang admitted honestly. I work so hard helping people find their happy endings, but I keep myself closed off from having one of my own. He paused as if expecting judgment, but none came. Sungo spoke bluntly, as usual. We all noticed. Otherwise you would already be dating Jisoo. The group exchanged knowing looks. Sungo and Taeyang were very different in personality. Taeyang was elegant and polished, while Sungo was straightforward and bold. Yet they understood each other well. Please let me finish, Taeyang said, giving Sungo a warning look. This is not about your brother Jisoo. Sungo smirked but stayed quiet. Taeyang took a breath. Committing to myself tonight made me realize something. I ended a long friends with benefits situation. Just before coming here. Everyone straightened. I know it sounds hypocritical, Taeyang continued. Helping others build love stories while keeping myself in something casual. Who is he? Miho asked immediately, unable to hide his curiosity. They had all wondered for years. Why did we never meet him? Sungo added. Was he imaginary? Taeyang sighed. He is real. His name is Jisoo. We met in college. We were never serious. Whenever he traveled to New York for business and neither of us was seeing anyone, we would meet. That was the arrangement. Which you were always fine with, Sungo pointed out. Taeyang ignored that comment. He is polite, intelligent, well-dressed. We understood each other. Yuri leaned forward. If this lasted for years, it must have meant something. Do you have a picture? Taeyang hesitated, then showed his phone. Miho studied the image. The man on the screen had soft features and light brown hair similar to Taeyang's. You look alike, Miho observed gently. Taeyang stared at the photo. Maybe that is why it felt easy. Sungo narrowed his eyes. He looks like your twin. Taeyang gave him a sharp look. He is not related to me. The group laughed softly, easing the tension. Sungo leaned forward again. If he was kind and the connection was good, why did it never become serious? Taeyang's expression softened. He was honest from the beginning. He liked me, but only casually. He made it clear he never planned for more. And you accepted that? Miho asked quietly. Yes, Taeyang replied. Because at least he was honest. I was tired of people being interested only in appearances and pretending it was deeper. Yuri nodded with understanding. You deserve more than being admired only on the surface. Everyone agreed softly. Taeyang's eyes filled with tears. I told myself the arrangement was safe. I focused on building my business. Stability meant everything to me after growing up in chaos. But tonight I realized I was holding myself back. Miho spoke carefully. Did you love him? No, Taeyang answered quickly, then hesitated. Maybe I hoped one day it would grow into something real. But when I ended it, he told me he recently met someone else and wanted to see where it goes. Silence filled the room. Taeyang forced a composed smile, but his voice broke. So there are no hard feelings. The emotion he tried to control finally overwhelmed him, and he began to cry quietly. The group moved closer, offering comfort and support until he steadied himself again. After a moment, Taeyang wiped his eyes and straightened his posture. Tonight I fully commit to myself. I honor my work, my growth, and I promise to stay open to real love when it comes. No one spoke for a few seconds. That was powerful, Yuri said softly. Taeyang laughed through the last of his tears. Miho, you should lead now.